Welcome back. We're going to take a few minutes. I'm sure you've seen this car here in the background of some of our videos. So this is, we call him Papa Smurf, my dad. The original, I guess he was considered the owner here at the shop, or still is. This is his 49 Studebaker business coupe that he's been building for himself for quite some time in his spare time when he was still teaching college. And the business coupes were basically a two-passenger car. They just had a front seat only, a short cab, what they call a short cab. So the cab on a sedan is further back and has a back seat. Some of them were even four-door. So this had a front seat only, a very large package tray, and these were for the traveling salesman back in the late 40s, early 50s. And they only made about 560, 570 of these back then. This is the 49, so this was the last year before they went to the bullet nose. Had the big bullet up here. So this has the flat nose on it, whatnot. So we've come in and pie-shaped the hood is one of the things that we've done. We've taken about 2 inches out of here to taper, flattened the hood, brought it down. It gives it a lot larger, a lot cleaner, swoopier look. We've done away with the front fender, or front bumper, I mean. So we've made a front roll pan. This is all steel out of, this is actually 18 gauge, so my dad has actually hammer formed all of these pieces. Made the front roll pan, this piece here. He also has a grill, 3-bar floating grill that he's made that that the pieces for it were all hand built, and they're kind of a elliptical shaped, and they follow the front of the car also. So we'll find those at some point in time and show those and add them, because we'll be doing more videos on this. And so on this car, my dad's always liked Studebakers, and so we built a 48, 49 Studebaker pickup, and it's been on the road since 1977. It's probably got 150,000 miles on it, and it's been all over the United States, traveling to various NSRA events from the northwest corner to the southeast corner and diagonal for going on 40, 45 years now. No air conditioning, no heater. He's old school. Now on this one, he's decided to put a AC in this one. But so he's just always had a liking to the Studebakers, and Studebaker was part of our actual Western heritage. Originally, they made wagons, the old Conestoga wagons and wheelbarrows. And at one time, Studebaker was making wheelbarrows, wagons, and gas-powered automobiles in the same plant, if you look at some of their history. So they just have a neat history. Back in the 90s, we built an actual bullet nose business coupe for a customer for the National Muscle Car Association, back when before Street Outlaws and all that was popular. We built a car and competed a couple years with that, running that. We qualified both events at Memphis. Didn't do so good performance-wise, but we were there. So we're going to deck the hood here. Let's see, what else have we done. So all these cars, we've filled in the cowl vents that were on the fenders, fresh air vent there. On this one, we had to make a lower door skin. It was pretty rough, pretty rotted on it. Now, so my dad's history is he was drag racing back before I was born, and so horsepower is kind of his thing. So on this one, he's decided he wanted to go keep it, with the advent of the fuel injection and the LS motor and all that. He's like, no, I'm going to keep it old school. So this is going to be all out horsepower. So the engine on this one is going to be, it's an all aluminum 632 inch Brodix, actually assembled and built by Brodix. Let's go take a look at it right quick. We'll take a look at the actual motor that's going in the car, and then we'll come back and take a quick look at what we're building, what we're fitting with. So this here is the actual motor that will be going in the Studebaker. It's as you can see, it's an all aluminum block end heads from Brodix. We were able to get some stuff from them to build the car around, and one of the things they asked is that if we would just get all the stuff from them when we were looking to have our motor built. So I can't remember some of the specifics about this motor, but it is 632 inch. According to Brodix, this particular engine combination should put out about 800 to 850 horse on pump gas at the crankshaft. That'll be plenty of horsepower and motor for that old man, 83 years old, to keep up with. So let's go take a look at how the engine compartment's coming along. Take a look under the hood here and see what all he's got going on. So he's going to keep the stock hood prop on it. So this is basically being a hand-built car. He's actually made his own frame rails from scratch, from a drawing. We had a company called Progressive Automotive out of Columbus, Ohio, which was one of the very first companies to ever start using the Mustang 2 style front suspension. So we got with them, told them what track width we needed, and they actually designed and built us a front crossmember, Mustang 2 crossmember, to give us the ride height we want, the track width we wanted to fit our frame rail. And then we got with Unisteer or Mavel and had them to develop us a manual rack. It's a lot narrower than a traditional Mustang 2 rack, but it is a Mustang 2 rack. So some of the stuff we have going on here, we'll just start first of all. So these aluminum hinges, these are actually called built-right hinges, and we started actually manufacturing these hinges. They're a universal hinge, and we started manufacturing these hinges in the late 80s, early 90s, while I was actually in college, for a tonneau cover for pickup beds is what we originally designed them for. And we had so much interest in them that we started manufacturing them and got a patent on them. We had a patent on them, and now we also offer them in two different sizes. We actually have another size that's 3/4 scale of this one here. They are a universal hinge. They can be adapted to most any application. So some of the stuff he's done is his inner fender panels. He has hand formed, hammer formed. This is all 16 gauge and 18 gauge also, which was a feat in itself to hammer form. He's made wood bucks and hammer formed these. These are in a couple of pieces. There is a seam here and then a seam here because this top piece, all one shape, is one piece, and so on. This front cowl piece here we made. It has one of the universal trunk latches like what we use on some of the trunks. These were originally developed, I think, an OEM application was a Volkswagen, and now there's some companies that are offering them in the hot rod world. So this is a mock-up block that we also got from Brodix, a set of heads to fit and build the car around. And so these are the same heads, the same generic or same base block as what's in there on the engine stand. And then we got with Wilson manifolds, and my dad's old school. He has two Carter carburetors on his Studebaker pickup with a tunnel ramp, so he wanted to keep with that same theme just because he likes them. And this car is going to actually have the Edelbrocks because the Carters are no longer available. But we had Wilson manifolds to custom build us a low profile sheet metal miniature tunnel ram, virtually, I guess, basically, on there. And then his air cleaner is, I think, just sitting on there. You can kind of see. He's handmade his own air filter assembly. That'll go on. Take this out. You can reach up in there and bolt it to the studs on the carburetor when they're in there. That's the knots to clear the firewall. It might be a little restrictive, but for what he's going to be doing with it, it'll be fine. These are a set of the marine valve covers, generally used in the marine application, and we just like the shape of them. They kind of resemble a little bit of a Ford for some reason. But these will be the oil fillers. These were actually water filler necks for the old 392 Hemis in the drag racing days. We got these from Donovan, and these valve cover breathers are actually a one-piece casting. There's baffles cast into that instead of having a removable piece with a filter inside of it. These are actually cast. These are also a lot of the old Hemi stuff. We had the radiator custom built for it. We're going to be running a Vintage Air front drive accessory, one of their front runner systems on it for the big block. We have that done on there. He also custom built his headers. I don't know if you can see these down in here. His headers are, I don't know if it'll help. If this screws you up, let me know. Because you can see the headers. Now the headers, he built his own full-length headers, and they go into an oval flange, and then we made our own oval tubing throughout the rear of the car. And both sides eventually come in together into one piece out the tail of the car. So we did talk about earlier about the floating grill that we have designed for it. Now the hood release latch will be hidden, but it's just a little lever. You reach up in here between the top grill bar and this, and there's a lever, and as you pull on it, it releases the hood latch there. The firewall's all handmade. They were just a flat. These cars originally just came with flathead 4 cylinders, or 6 cylinders, flathead 6 cylinders. So there's some of that. It's got the dual wipers on it now. Originally they would have been vacuum. We have the cable operated specially power window unit going on it. We are going to keep the vent windows, keep with that original school theme. Same with the stock door handles. We have the stock door handles, but we've adapted them to some bear claw latches, and we'll show you that as you come around, if you want to come on around. So you can see here we made our own plates, and then these bear claw latches we sell through our retail side. So if you ever need any of those, let us know. We can help you out with that. And then in here, so I'll show you some drawings of what we did. But so these original Studebaker dashes were just flat, went straight across basically. Had a gauge cluster in the center that was round that resembled the bullet. And since he went to air conditioning on this car and had to recess the firewall some for the big block, we had a friend of his, or a student, an ex-student of his at the Street Rod College when he was teaching street rod fabrication, is an artist and a commercial designer. So we asked him to come out and get a feel for what we have, and he came up with a booklet of some concept drawings, different ideas for dash design, different ideas for gauge design, and we'll look at some of those pictures here in a little bit. So Dad took and we ended up obviously choosing this design. So he made this housing here that bolts onto the face of the dash from the back side, but then we sent this off to Classic Instruments and had them to, they're up in the, I believe, Michigan area, and we had them to design us a retro style face to fit our housing. And then it has all the late model electronics and then that current technology that are being used on their gauges. And we've kept with the old school theme, so we made our own column, but this resembles the stock column. It's just a shaft that goes through, and we'll use a new one of these, but we're going to go with the old style turn signal, just kind of keeping a little. I guess the theme is retro with just a lot of horsepower. So we took the original Studebaker steering wheel, we sent it up to Billet Specialties, and they actually machined us an all aluminum billet wheel that replicates the stock one, so that we don't have to try to repair this plastic one. All the floor pans have been handmade. It is going to have a 4L60 or 4L80 transmission, pretty heavily built one. And of course that's why the tunnel is so large, is for the large transmission. And not having a lot of location foot room and stuff like that, we Frenched in the emergency brake handle into the side of it. Now what we're going to do when it comes down to it, I'll actually make a fiberglass mold of the hump and body work it like we're going to paint it, and then we'll wrap that in leather instead of just carpeting a lot of this. And then he hand formed this this center console also from that drawing. And the shifter, this is on a hinge, or will be. So that you'll lift that up, just put it in gear, whatever gear you're going to put it in, probably overdrive's all it'll ever go. And then close it back down. All of the controls, the ignition switch, can you see that? Is it kind of dark? So ignition switch, AC controls, headlight switch, and I think the wiper switch is up and under here on one side. So that's kind of, so this console design is what they call a waterfall. So it comes up here, comes down, comes all the way back, and then it's going to come up into the package tray area. And so we made this all aluminum wraparound piece that will get wrapped in leather. So this piece all screws in, and then we'll make a solid one-piece cover that I'll actually upholster and then lightly adhere it with some we may put this in with some magnets, but a lot of these panels will actually be done in fiberglass that we can body work and smooth, and then it's more serviceable by how we attach those individual panels after they're upholstered. We also made a solid one-piece headliner. I don't know if that's visible. Is it showing up on their deal? So what we did on that is we actually bagged off the roof on the outside and prepped it and made a fiberglass skin of the outside of the car, and then we came in and split it down the center each direction into quarters and took out what we needed, so that our inner radius now matches the outer radius. That's all one piece. It does go in and out in the right order. And then we'll have a seam here, and on this seam here, after this is padded and upholstered, we will have these formed aluminum covers that will go up on there and probably be held in with magnets, the strong magnets that'll just stick into place. So this panel can go in with some screws. This panel can go in down and under here with some tabs, and then a couple of screws here. This piece will go over it, and it'll all be flushed with the upholstery. So then there won't be any fastener showing, is the game plan. We're going to run some stock style sun visors in it. We made the glove. This is actually not a glove box. It's just to simulate a glove box, but it matches the gauge cluster on it. You can see how we got the waterfall piece there. You can see some of those. So this is all 18 gauge on the dash and console. The floors and the firewall were actually all done in 16 gauge, and the wheel tubs and the hump and stuff on that. So we'll just go on back here to the back. So in keeping with the theme of the hinges, when it came time to start fitting the deck lid, he made another set of miniature style hinges, and they're a very similar copy of the original Studebaker hinges, but he just improved them in design and size. And then we actually had I forgot what company it was, but we built them to incorporate the gas cylinders that a lot of people are using on the hood hinges. And now we had it set up for the old struts and just didn't like how that came out. So these are the wheel tubs. The plan is to run a 12-inch wide wheel with as much tire as we can get under it. Fuel tank. It's an all-steel gas tank that we built. We internal fuel pump, then we'll use a regulator on it. It'll have hard lines that come over and go down, and then flex hose or hard lines up the frame and then flex into the engine compartment. We'll probably run a single large battery over on this corner. This thing may need 2 batteries. Plans are we'll make a fiberglass skin for in here so that we can upholster it. We may end up doing it like we did the headliner. And the filler for the gas is right here. So when we do the actual body work, he'll body work everything, and then this will actually get body work where it's flush. There'll just be a little single seam, and it pushes down, raises up. It's a motorcycle deal. there that'll filter it through that. You just have to be cautious on drippage. It pushes down and it'll be flush every time. Just for the look and we welded the fenders on to the quarter panels. It will make it difficult to get a 12-inch rim on it. We'll have to drop the suspension to do that, but this way we can better hammer and dolly this body work in here and get it nicer and have a better fit. These old cars, the technology back then when these were being built and stamped and everything, the fit and finish on them wasn't that best. They were a low budget car. I bet new these cars weren't $1,200, $1,500 new. We're going to run the stock tail lights on it. Probably put an LED style bulb in there and whatnot. So as I was saying earlier at the front of the car, so the exhaust, he built his own headers and full exhaust, and it's all oval tubing. And so he's been working on this car for a long time. When he was teaching college, before he retired the first time, he started on this car. And so the oval tubing and everything, we actually made our own because we hadn't found anybody that was making what we needed at the time. That was probably 12 years ago. He's been working on his car for a while. So we actually made our own oval tubing, taking straight tubing, splitting it, filling it back in. But both exhaust systems come back into the back area here. They come up over the rear end, and then they come out in this one single outlet. He hammer formed all of this, and it comes forward and then comes out. Made our own roll pan here. We'll hammer and dolly all of that, finish that up. So this is where we are. We'll probably have this car on the ground and totally assembled within a couple months, if not sooner. This is one of the cars that I would like to eventually, when we get it finished, debut it at maybe SEMA show, maybe in somebody's booth. And the plans for the car are probably, he's torn between an old original Battleship Gray or a paper sack brown tan, whatever it's called. And we're looking at maybe doing, instead of chrome and everything, doing it in black chrome and putting black rims on it. So whether we go with the gray or the darker brown paper box or whatever, paper sack color, the black I think would go with it because the car's going to sit pretty low. It's going to have a nice stance and everything on it. So we'll take a picture or take a look at some of these drawings right quick and you'll get an idea of some of the concepts.